All right, Zach. Well, we finally made it through the regular season, as they say. All right. And you know, we made it through our holiday hiatus. Here we go. Welcome everyone to Living Room Sports Talk. Here, Macaulay. We've got the great Zach Rothenberger here. It's weird, kind of doing this again. You know what I mean? Like I'm like kind of looking around. I'm like, all right, well, obviously I'm late. You know, for the production is pretty usual. But for the live audience. But yeah, here we are. This is fun.
Yeah, no, it feels good. I like that holiday hiatus. That sounds that's catchy. I like it. Did you put a lot of thought into that, or did it just kind of
No,
come?
actually, that really just came to mind. You know,
Ah,
just in the moment.
that's good.
Yeah, but you get the good and the bad, right? You might have that, but then you also hear my voice crack. So yeah. But did you have a nice little break?
Yeah, it felt good. It was get a little feeling rejuvenated. A little deflated on the sports front, but also, I think it's kind of like a lot of weights off your shoulders all of a sudden. It's like a full body hangover when your team just gets eliminated. So, but no, overall we're doing well. We got the playoffs coming up. A lot of great sports action, both football and every other sport starting up. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're finally, getting back to, everything being normal. And I'm sorry. I know the heartaches today. There's so much to get to in this show.
There really is, yeah, we'll leave it at that for right now. There's definitely a lot, put you that way. I gotta ask, did you make it up to see the ball drop for New Year's?
I did.
Did you? That's good.
I did. Did you?
I fell asleep. I woke up at like 11:50, and then my dogs were barking because of the fireworks. So we ended up watching Scarface, the dogs and I. So.
I love already, by the way, your Uncle Ricky getting the Eagles, the tanking chatter going.
Oh, boy.
And it's funny, we're a lead off for that. So at that point, let me, instead of me just being, hey, by the way, Zach, did you have a nice New Year's? And like, yeah, Karen, did you? It's like, yeah, I did. It was really nice. Like, all right.
Now let's get to the dirty stuff.
It was good. It was good. Now let's dive into the football action. So it's basically an all football show for anyone just joining us tonight. But yeah, this will be a good one. So we'll have obviously Week 17 recaps. We'll break down the playoff picture, especially wildcard weekend. We got Mojo Monday too, and it's nice just being back, like I said, on the airwaves after a little break. So all right, let's just get back into the swing of it. A little limbering up, as they say in the podcasting world. Let's do some clickbait to get us started, Zachy.
Yeah, sounds good. So as we know, like with the season ending, there's obviously a lot of awards that are going to get announced, and especially the MVP is the hot topic, obviously. And so Bleacher Report came out basically with a end of the season recap of who they think the MVP. They're predicting the MVP basically, and they run the list down.
The wrong one loaded up. Damn.
And obviously they have Aaron Rodgers as number one, which is what is rightfully so in my opinion. But my qualms don't really go with the number one. It's really with how they mentioned that they think Ryan Tannehill should be in the conversation for MVP, and also how they have Derrick Henry as the fourth possible person. But long story short, the issue is just don't make controversial lists like this. It's just insane, and the fact that anyone would think Ryan Tannehill could be in the MVP conversation is just asinine to me. He had a good season, yeah, but he's not in the MVP conversation. So enough. That's enough.
No, I think it's over, and it's hard for me. I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's over. Aaron Rodgers is won the MVP. But
it's the truth. If Derrick Henry to me is the only person you can put right below him I think Derrick Henry
I agree.
is his competitor. Guy runs for over 2,000 yards. And I don't know if you knew, I think there's only been how many 2,000-yard rushers? 5, 6, 8? And I think, didn't they all win the MVP that year? Or
I actually don't know that part.
I think 5 or 6, like the majority ended up winning the MVP that season.
That makes sense. I mean, and I feel like most years it's on the table for him. This is just a different year.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers played lights out this year, so it's hands down him.
Yeah, I love it.
But there we go.
I do.
Yeah. So.
All right, but so speaking of quarterbacks, instead of me just gushing over everything, it's funny that we're obviously going to dive into the Eagles and everything that happened in their game in just a second. But let's jump into this first. Why? Oh man, Kieran produced the show. Why don't you? I should have looked for this. I'm better than this, Zach. You know that. But you know what? I'm getting better at cleaning this up. So there's that. All right, there we go. Let's clean that up. Drop it in there. Look at that. All right. With the 6th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, Philadelphia Eagles select, and it's a picture of Justin Fields.
Oh my God.
And saying, will the Eagles take another quarterback is the name of the headline.
Love it.
I mean, do you want to take this one just to kind of, I have so much to say. Well, you know what's funny too? Uncle Ricky helping us clean up the day. It's not fourth. We're going back in time. Look at this.
Wow, there you go.
You know what the funny thing is? I actually changed the date. Well, I'm an idiot. All right, look at this. This is our audience helping us out. That's why we love the audience. This is great.
Yeah, we're phoning friends here.
Uncle Ricky saving us, looking out for us, the guardian angel.
There you go. Perfect.
That was huge. It's so funny. I actually did change it. I'm like, well, that would have been embarrassing if I gotten it wrong. It's like, oh God. I do that. Do you do that? Like, are you going to put, like, basically, honest to God, it's about April is when I start really getting down the actual year correct. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure. I think 2020 was just such a monumental year for numerous reasons. So I just want to get rid of it. So I just put 21 all the time. So
I like that. Blackjack, right?
Yeah, blackjack. It's a good way to look at it.
See, I know I can say that to you because, like, you can understand the idea of good luck and the rhythm of the beat, you know.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, let's get to something unlucky for you as a Giants fan. Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about the Sunday night game, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to break down.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, all right. Let me. I feel that scene Uncle Buck where he's on the phone in the game, like, get it, like, just because, like, I don't know really where to go with this because nothing's particularly good. I mean, you can see obviously the Sudfeld's turnover. So let's. Should we just go there and be like ESPN for a second or whatever and just dive into it? Well, I'll almost give it to you as a Giants fan with the soapbox here.
Sure. Well, I first want to start off by saying huge congratulations to the Washington football team. Everything they went through this offseason and everything Ron Rivera went through with his cancer treatments and obviously Alex Smith, that incredible journey. You know, it's a phenomenal story, and I hate that that is overshadowed by the controversial, benching of Jalen Hurts, tanking, however you want to call it, in the fourth quarter. So let's just start off with that. I think you would agree, Kieran. It's pretty awesome that they won the division. I mean, definitely. Get it, but it's pretty incredible everything they've gone through. Alex Smith, Ron Rivera, and made this happen this season.
I totally agree. I love what the chat's saying too that they're even just calling out the clickbait from the other direction that they don't think that Justin Fields will be there at 6. But wow. But all right, to get back to your point, the fourth quarter, right? I think my dad put it best when we were texting about it today. There's like 5 things I want to say at once, so I'm going to just try to get it all out. I think that this idea that Nate Sudfeld's deserved to play is what I keep chewing on. I don't get it. That's the part my dad and I were talking about. Like my dad was saying, it's not CYO.
Right.
But I mean, this isn't high school. I love how he always says he's been here for 4 years, so he deserves some playing time. What is he, a senior? Right. You know what I mean? Like that's what I don't get. That's what I keep harping on because what doesn't add up in my head. And this is not, and I'll add in. I'll make this like the stem, and then I'll put the branches with the leaves and stuff off of this. But you just went through this whole facade of with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, right? With this everything had to be fair and everything had to be right? And now it's just like, oh well, he deserves a quarter. What? What?
Ironically, in the fourth quarter of a game against a division rival,
That's what and look, I will add this little caveat, and I really should make an entire point from it. I hate how people are asking Doug Peterson, talking to just the fan, great people well, you could have helped the Giants out. Did that even go through your mind that if you won that game that you could have helped them out? It's like that. Why would they care about that?
I think that's a pretty BS question. That's a BS question to ask.
Right, they don't care about you guys. No offense, and I'm not.
We don't care about them. No one cares about each other in division.
It's literally if the only time you can link arms with a foe in your division is literally if it's just, hey, by the way, you winning, you need to win. I need you to win. That's literally the only way it works. They didn't need to win last night.
No.
If anything, they need to lose to help their draft situation. So, you know what I mean? So, So you can't fault them. You can't, obviously, well, let me take it back. Which actually leads me to my second point. Tanking is such an interesting thought, right? Because tanking to me is not playing Miles Sanders, not playing Fletcher Cox, right? Like playing guys where I would sit there and say, okay, look, if you were all 10-5, and it's like, okay, the winner would be 11-5, and they win the division, right? Then all of a sudden that means something. But the way I look at it is, it's not that, and look, the way I look at it is you're tanking when you're not. I'm like drooling on myself. You're tanking when. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick. No, because I'm trying to like basically break down the art of tanking, right? Like you're tanking if, or I should say, when you aren't playing your top guys, right? This whole idea, like, okay, so it made sense. All right, look, you're playing your young quarterback, Jalen Hurts. You want to see what you have with them. Why would you hit the brakes on that? Okay, and I'm not even saying in the moment last night. I'm saying I do believe that was their plan, but that makes no sense to make that the plan. The guy was inactive for 15 games. What do you mean he deserves to play?
Did he do Nate Sudfeld any justice by playing him and seeing
No, and that's the other thing. Like, what are you putting into
put out there?
Like, think of all the let's look at all the prisms, if you will, in the box of like why he would play. Okay, well, like you want to see what you have with him. No, you already saw what you have with him. That's why you didn't dress him for 15 games. Right, that's why you let him go, and then he came back because no one wanted to sign him.
Yeah.
Right, so like, don't give me that. And on top of that, what do you even if that was true? What are you learning by playing him in a fourth quarter of a game and pretty much a lost season for you? Right, like what?
Yeah, if it's me, if I'm an Eagles fan, I would have loved to have seen Jalen Hurts down by 3 in the fourth quarter to try to lead a charge.
What about that picture do you not want to see as an Eagles fan, right? Like, and I think the fans are great, right? So I'm not even calling them out. I'm more just saying Doug Peterson perspective too. I should say, as a coach, what are you looking for? Like what? Because I sit here and I think when I look at meaningless quote unquote games, the first thing I think of, well, they're not meaningless. You can at least get guys reps for the future. You can get this guy who may or may not be your quarterback for the future, which I thought you were still trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. You could get him reps. Like it does that. Like to me, it's the whole principle. Oh, this is a mockery to the sport. They should have been more competitive. No, if he had started Sudfeld, I would have been like, that's fine. That's their own prerogative. It's almost what the reason why the NFL should be pissed at it. Like, dude, we let you guys tank, but like, why did you have to do it so like weirdly and egregiously? Like, because now on prime time, because now we're asking questions. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate the whole. Well, if it's a 1:00 game, this would have happened. I know that. We all know that. But at the same point, it wasn't a 1:00 game, and this doesn't really happen where you play a guy for 3 quarters, a young quarterback that you're trying to see something with, and then he's yanked the plug on him in a meaningful moment. Right?
That builds confidence in a young quarterback. I feel like if you leave him in, if he goes back and leads a victory, I think it builds trust and confidence in your team too. That hey, we're going to play hard. We want to win. This is a winning mentality, not a losing mentality type of culture we have here. We're not thinking about that. And I think Seth Joyner said it perfectly. Drafting a guy versus 6th overall or 10th overall, that's not going to be that much of a culture changer in the locker room, right? Wasn't that what he said, Kieran? Right. Something along the lines of having a culture guy or just someone who's really going to make that big of a difference for your team versus the difference of purposely basically losing the game. And you saw the faces on the players last night. You think Zach Ertz wanted to go out probably his last game as an Eagle like that?
Well, and that's where the mystery lies with me because, and I'm generally saying this, right? Like, I'm not just like a guy like, the Madden pump up video, but it's like in a world where you ask your players to give constant effort, constant focus every single day, granted, it's their job, but like, it's your job to try to win the football game. So like, if the minute you start straying away from that plan, it's like, it's a bad taste to your point. It's like, what culture are you establishing there?
Right.
There is no, Joe and I were talking about, there is no culture. And right, like, and I'm looking at the chat, right? Like this, to me, I don't see a culture. Because to your point, you got Jalen Hurts sitting there be like, what? Right, and you saw him in the press conference. He's like, I don't know. He's a coach. Like, you got to let me know. And you got Carson Wentz declined to speak.
Yeah.
Right, and then you got basically him and Deshaun and Zach Ertz like chatting on the side. It's like and then the weird thing is, then all the while, it's like here's basically the funny thing I say here. Everyone knows the media is a sham in a sense, and everyone's like, whoa. I'd be like, look, no. Right, like anything you hear in these press conferences, it's what you want to hear, it's what they're supposed to say, da da da. But that's also part of the song and dance. Like, like I always love press conferences because it's a fine line of look, like you can't get out of it. Like you got to obviously answer questions correctly in some degree, but you can also weasel and spin out of it and just give the media something to chew on, but it doesn't give anything away competitively. Right, like Doug's basically just sitting here lying. And everyone's like, wait a minute, this whole, like, the lying thing, I know you're lying. It's like, and he's just like, lying, I'm not lying. It's like, no, but you're doing it again now, right there. That's what you're doing. You're lying again. He's like, I'm not, it's like, that to me, it just, and what I don't like, if I was an Eagles fan, is like, why is it, like, because your players are looking at that with that same kind of response, it seems like. Mm-hmm. That to me is the more alarming thing in this entire situation. It's not, they don't know the Giants anything. It's right, and I'm not going to sit here and give you the whole, the Giants shouldn't have finished 6-10. They wanted to make the play. All right, right. Everyone, wow, you're such a great football analyst for figuring that out. Right, but at the same point, I think it just was so strange. You don't see that. It's not Pop Warner.
No, exactly, and I will get it out there and say, as the Giants fan, that everyone thinks I'm probably being a crybaby over this situation. Like you just said, Kieran, I fully get a 6-10 team. We made our bet and we laid in it. There was numerous games we should have won, so that is what it is. Like we were a 6-10 team. Would have been great to make the playoffs. Of course, we're upset that the Eagles lost and did what they did. Every fan, no matter what team you root for, is going to be upset. Put yourself in our shoes; you're going to feel the same exact way. If you're
it's sickening.
It's sickening. So. The whole thing is just a shame. That's all, and it's obviously, it's I'm going to say it's a shame. It's hard to see that in professional sports and something that being on prime time and randomly in the fourth quarter when they're needed the most, and you would think that you'd want to get Jalen Hurts some confidence and stuff. You just see the rug get pulled out from under. It's a shame, and honestly, I'd be upset to be an Eagles fan today, just like I am a Giants fan. I'd be upset either way. So.
Well, and I love Alex. How are you doing, brother? By the way, I love what Alex is saying. With just you can have both, right? That the Giants should have done more and done better, but at the same point, with Doug Peterson, like, what the hell are you doing? And I love also just what the chat was saying too. It's like it's amazing how somehow the Eagles found a way to piss off Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Like,
that's a good point.
What? Right, like it's so bizarre, and it's funny. I use the Seinfeld analogy with the Doug Peterson thing, where it's like and I've used this before on the show, the whole episode where he's taking the IQ test. It's like, why did you use the door? Or why didn't you use the door? And he's like, door, pro ball. like this doesn't fly. I don't know.
Yeah,
was I a little choppy there for a second?
No, you're good. I was reading the chat. No, it's it's unfortunate for sure. Hopefully they can rectify it, moving forward next year. We'll see if the damage is done. But
like throwing Sudfeld's into the fire, good God. I mean, that interception, Jesus. I mean, that literally reminded me of like just playing in the backyard where it's like, dude, just go as far as you can, and then it's just like, but I actually can't like.
And that's what I meant about earlier. I wasn't trying to be smart when I said like, did Doug Peterson do Sudfeld any justice?
No, I know exactly what you meant.
Because that tape, like, this is what the players always, this is why everyone plays hard to win, is because everything they do is on tape and is on constant scrutiny, and it is always under review by every potential team, agent, whatever, out there looking to do anything, signed from a financial and business perspective. So this, if anything, just damaged Sudfeld even more.
It's the epitome of throwing someone in the fire.
That's literally what it is.
Right?
Yeah. It's like giving someone a little floaty and dropping them in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Good luck. Yeah.
I love Alex giving me love in the chat for the beard.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Dude.
It's been a little over a month, actually, I think.
Has it?
The longest I've ever had, yeah.
Dude, I like it.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
I'm got a little scruff. Oh, man. I got as much scruff as the Cowboys have playoff life. All right, let's jump into that game here for a second. All right, I know it's not on the happiest of terms for you. But you should be proud about this win, right? So I'll almost just give you the soapbox, transitioning off the Eagles game, going to the Giants game, just to set the backdrop real quick before you go. the winner of this game had a chance to win the division if the Washington football team had lost, which the Giants won the game, obviously, with the nice defensive stand at the end there. So with that, Zach, take it away.
Yeah, no, I feel really good about it because when we were texting this morning, you kind of calmed me down from all my emotions that were running me hot. Was saying how that was a Week 17 game. It was essentially a playoff game in a sense. It had that feel to it, like you need to win for a chance instead of losing you're out. And we pulled through. Daniel Jones played a strong game, I would say, not a phenomenal game, but he played a strong game, a game that you need to play to win that type of game. He did it. The defense stood up. Xavier McKinney stepped up. Love what I'm seeing out of him. Obviously, the game-winning interception to seal the deal. Seeing just the culture that we have right now and the camaraderie across the whole team from long snapper to starting quarterback is just a beautiful thing to see, and it's something that I haven't felt or seen since the Tom Coughlin era, like middle of the Tom Coughlin era. Even though 6-10 is 6-10, like I get it, but just seeing how the team is playing together, seeing the body language, everyone's fully bought in to Joe Judge, and I really can't wait to see what hopefully will be a normal offseason with training camps, mini camps, things like that. I just can't wait to see what next year will bring. I love this team. I really do. I really think that we're a couple fine tuning and fine tweaks away becoming a divisional champion in all honesty. So, and that's an unbiased opinion. When you watch them play, it's like you see it. I think Daniel Jones needs to prove himself in year 3. That's what it really comes down to. A couple more offensive weapons, and hopefully that does it.
Yeah, see, I think that's the identity right there. I should say, I think you kind of found one a little bit this year, but I think that's the key, right? And it's like, no kidding, Kieran, your quarterback's the key. It's like, yeah, but, right, I mean, hear me out. Like, it's actually perfect in a sense because you saw enough to get excited. You also saw enough where there's room to grow, like you just said, all that. And it's funny because now you're also like kind of sliding into that like 3-year bell curve with the quarterback where it's like, okay, now you're starting, the training wheels need to come off. Like, you got to start looking good yourself. Like, right, like you got the coach, you got the culture. Like you're starting to get the check marks. Like you got weapons like Darius Slayton. Like next year, it's no, well, he's just got to stop turning the ball over. It's like, okay, no, he's just the quarterback that turns the ball over a lot, right? Like those little nuances to his game. But I think, and that's what I was saying to you when we were texting this morning, I think, backwards, weird way, like that's what you're excited about. You just want a gut check yesterday as a Giants fan, right? Because it's funny, I have my notes, like for the Cowboys, like the only thing I really have is like, I've never been more confused about a team. Now, albeit they also get a free kind of like gypsy wave because we'll be like, oh, well, Dak wasn't playing, right? But at the same point, they were a vexing team even when they had him, right? So it's not like we were sitting there when they were there and be like, dude, this team is unstoppable, right? Like, no. So their defense is shaky. Their special teams are shaky. And I'll even say as a Packers fan that was with Mike McCarthy all those years, I sit there and say, wow, a lot of the flaws that we had, that all the doubts that I had as a Packers fan with him, kind of shed, they came to light, I should say. The light was shed on him when they were with the Cowboys. So I'm not sold on that. But all right, but back to the Giants. So I think what's good about you guys, like I was saying, is you have a direction. Now, and I don't want to be mean when I say this. You need to still make 6 and 10 corrections, if that makes sense. You win 6 and 10. People need to be held accountable for that.
Absolutely, the drop balls that result in interceptions, the sloppy, ball handling in the pocket. Absolutely,
right. Because if you go 8-8 and you lose in the first round, everyone's like, "Oh, you're right there. You're 2 wins away from being 10 and 6." It's like, but maybe you're not 2 wins away as a team, right? So this is going to give you a good scrub, and you might jump from being 6. I always like those jumps because you're going to get a draft pick. You're going to get some bodies to build up, and then it's like, okay, well, so you might go 12-4 next year instead of 8-8. You know what I mean? Like it's like you can make that jump. So I mean, I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying in general it can happen. But I think a lot of that, like I said, is predicated on if Daniel Jones is good. So
yeah, absolutely. And a little fun fact. I know this is all hypothetical, but I said in the Giants chat this morning, Coughlin went 6 and 10 his first year as head coach, then 11 and 5 the next year. So hoping that's the case for Judge too. But it's all going to come down to Daniel Jones, absolutely, because the team around him is there, besides maybe 1 or 2 offensive weapons. So, and
let's stop and look at the NFC East as a whole, because right, and I'm looking at what Joe was saying in the chat too about how the Eagles, Jesus, or I almost said the Evils, Jesus, are on the downward curve. much like kind of like the Phillies, how they won their title, and then it deteriorated in the mid 2000s. And that's it's like they're a TV show where I'm just like the season ended. It's like okay, like I guess the season premiere will be in another year, but I don't know what to expect. I have no idea. I not to be the negative guy, the pessimistic person on the show tonight, but I feel like if you're the Eagles, I just feel like there's so many question marks with the line. There's question marks with the coaching. There's question marks with the linebacking core, right? There's a lot of question marks, and there's question mark for who's going to play quarterback, right? And then you look at it and you say, okay, well, Dallas, same thing. I'm like, well, my question marks for them is, okay, well, the things that seem to be the Achilles heel of Mike McCarthy are coming to life right now, right? So it's like, all right, like neither one of those give me a good taste in my mouth. I think, and like what Joe was saying in chat, I think the division's flipped, right? Like you got Washington, who is, I mean, they're a quarterback away from being a problem. I think, like I keep saying this, I think Washington's defense, their front seven, are the best thing that anyone in that division has to offer right now. But I also think that, right, like they've got Gibson, they've got they got Scary Terry, they lead the wide receiver core, so they're man, but they're like you guys too, right. But then the question is, I don't know if Daniel Jones is good. Right, we can sit there. I'm not going to spin around that topic, but it's like right. I mean, so I don't know. It's an interesting division.
Yeah, it is that, and I like what Joe said in the chat. The division's flipped. Yeah, it really is right now. I mean, the thing with Washington that I'm very intrigued with is this: Alex Smith is 36 years old. We all know what he has gone through, what he's been through, and the fact that they made the playoffs, they won the division. I almost wonder if this is like the pinnacle, for him with everything he had to go through. And I wonder if he returns next season or if he retires or not. I'm not sure where he stands with that. So if he does retire, then what? That's the real question. Are you going to go to Kyle Allen, or what are you doing? So I don't know what to think with Washington. I mean, yeah, their defense is there for sure, but like you said, they're a quarterback away. So if Alex Smith is a quarterback next year, then absolutely they'll be right at the top again, battling it out.
It's a quarterback market, though.
Yeah,
when you think about all the different quarterbacks that are out there right now.
You got Cam, Jameis,
Sam Darnold, maybe.
Wentz is going to be on the market.
Yeah.
So you're right.
No, I'm trying to think who else. Philip Rivers.
Yeah, Philip Rivers. Maybe.
I mean, I doubt it, but
yeah. But hey, you never know. No one thought it was going to be
names.
So yeah, they're out there. They're names that are out there. So Matt Stafford could be a possibility.
Matt Ryan,
yeah, because I mean Atlanta, they're probably going to be starting to dismantle that, maybe. So.
All right, Balto. It's funny. Speaking of flipping, the coaching changes. There was a good amount of flips. 6 of them altogether up until this point, unless someone's got fired right before we get on the air. But no, I mean, it's almost like snowing, where I feel like, oh, okay, well, like the snow's basically ended. Like the coaching firings for the most part have ended. Anthony Lynn got fired today. That was the most recent one, right?
Yeah.
And then for the Chargers, and then Doug Marrone, was that last night or was that this morning? Was that technically this morning?
I think it was early this morning.
Like, rumors are he won't be back last night, and then this morning.
Yeah, I think 8 a.m. It was like, all right.
It honestly reminds me of like an executioner. Like, all right, who's next? Doug Marrone. Zap. All right,
step on up.
And obviously Adam Gase was like right up there at the top of that list. So
the fact that he made it to the end of the year is pretty phenomenal to me.
I know. I feel like that was more of a Jets thing, just trying to be classy.
Yeah.
But yikes, yeah. So there's all the coaching firings. It's funny too. I'm looking at the chat too. I think it's interesting. Could you imagine Darnold with the Washington football team?
Hey, better offensive line. I'm not a huge Sam Darnold advocate, as we all know. So.
And real quick, speaking of Washington, looking at the chat too, what are your thoughts on their opportunity, or not their opportunity? What are their chances, their odds of beating Tampa? I don't know. We'll get into the whole playoff thing in a second, but just a little tease.
Because what's been the common recipe of beating Tom Brady throughout his career? Hitting him, right? Getting pressure, as with any quarterback, but especially Brady, it seems. So. I mean, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Kerrigan, all that whole gang. it's going to be a long day, I think, for Tampa. I think Tampa will win, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher and closer than people think.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Just I don't know if because look at the chat, right? Like if their offense is as they were last night, that's what kind of doesn't get me going.
Yeah, if their offense plays how they did last night, it'll be a double-digit loss. So, yeah.
Like this reminds me of like the Panthers playing them.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good comparison, to be honest.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, but I'll tell you at that point. Well, it's funny. We're looking at those coaching firings. I'll read off the list again. So it's the Texans, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Jets, and the Falcons and the Chargers. And it's funny because I wrote down to we'll get through all the Week 17 games and we got to rip through them. But the way I kind of grouped this up, Zach, and it's funny how our minds were thinking alike today. There's no sense in breaking down Jets, Patriots, or Broncos, Raiders, right? Like it doesn't matter. Yeah. But to that point, let's talk about the coaching firings and hirings and stuff. Real quick, I'm like, who do you think is going to get hired by who? We don't know. But if you just for fun, just to speculate, out of the 6 teams available, which of those jobs do you think is the best? And I can read off the list again if you need me to know.
No, I really like the Chargers. I mean, I really like the Chargers the best. I think, and not to be, hot takes, predictions, clickbait guy, I think Eric Bieniemy would be a dream for the Chargers with his offensive mind, knowing the Chiefs in that division and how they do certain things. It's I think he'd be a perfect match there, especially with all the weapons that have just been significantly underutilized, in my opinion, in Los Angeles. To me, the Chargers, to answer your question, the Chargers are absolutely the team that I would like to be the head coach of, if hypothetical situation, because like I said, all the offensive weapons they have. Austin Eckler will be back fully healthy. They have some depth in that backfield, maybe take some of the load off of him. Keenan Allen, Pro Bowler, you don't need to say too much about him, and Mike Williams, Hunter Henry. I mean, it's right there. And on defense too, but for some reason they haven't been able to piece it together, and I think it's large part due to coaching in recent years. So I think the Chargers have all the pieces. They just need the right coach and culture there.
Yeah, I agree. And Anthony Lynn going 33. Speaking of Anthony, we got Anthony Lucci in the chat. What's up, brother?
There you go.
Wish us a Happy New Year. I love that. But I agree with the Anthony Lynn take. 33 and 31. And we talked about how many close games they lost. I forget the exact stat, but it was awful.
It was horrendous.
So bad. It was real bad.
Yeah. And I believe that half of those come down to coaching and the other half would be execution by the players. So
which is also basically coaching.
Which is basically right, correct.
So yeah, I mean, I just all right. Is there a job you would hate out of any of those?
Yeah,
because I agree with you about on the Chargers take.
Yeah, I think the Jets is just a dirty situation as far as everything needs to get flipped upside down. So for me, it's the Jets. What were your 2 that you would love and you would hate?
Well, the Chargers are the one I like, but dude, I don't know, man. Like they all have their own baggage, right? Like you could be the Texans, but it's like.
See, to me, the Texans were my second most favorite one.
Yeah, me too. That was mine too. But it's still like,
Isn't it kind of crazy that Deshaun Watson led the league in passing yards this year?
And that's how far behind they are, in my opinion. That's a roster.
Yeah.
And they have no picks. So like that, you got that. And then the Lions, well, you're in the Aaron Rodgers neighborhood. Not that I'm like trying to be that guy, but at the same point, right? And they have talent. So, it's like there's pros to go in there. Jacksonville, you got the first pick, but at the same point, I think their ownership and front office is a mess. Then you got the Jets, like you said, and yeah, I like Joe Douglas though. So, and then the Falcons, what are you doing, Matt Ryan, right? They're somewhere in the middle. Plus, you got to play Tom Brady and Drew Brees, albeit I don't know how much longer, but still. And then you got the Chargers. So I don't know. I mean, do we talk about the bad here? Let's rip through the bad teams too, real quick. Unless you had anything more you wanted to add in there.
No.
All right.
That's
Jets, Patriots. Cam's probably gone. Adam Gase is obviously gone. Anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
All right. Vikings and Lions. I think Zimmer and Kirk are kind of not going to say they're like their last leg, but I think they're on a tighter leash. I think than people think. And then the Lions, obviously, the search goes on, and they're going to replace their GM and their coach. So we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I agree. They're definitely on thin ice. So
Raiders, Broncos. Speaking of thin ice, Vic Fangio is probably on thin ice. And then so is Drew Lock probably with his starting chances. And then John Elway stepped aside of like the GM basically duties, and it's just like it's basically as Joe was saying for the Flyers. It's perfect. It's like the Paul Holmgren effect. So he'll be like the president of operations or whatever, but they'll now hire a new GM. So I don't know. Maybe some changes will happen there. And like I said, I think a lot of changes are going to happen there in the next year. I think next year is their big. They'll get a GM this year, and he'll just be like, "I'll let you just do your thing one more year," and then let everyone say Drew Lock sucks, and then let everyone say that Vic Fangio is not a good head coach, and then they'll blow that whole thing up, and that'll be that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think. And the Broncos are a team that is the Broncos are similar to the Chargers. I feel like, except the Chargers have more. The Chargers have a leg up, in my opinion, from a talent
because they have a quarterback,
right? Because the Chargers exactly that is why
and the pass rush
and the pass rush. Yep, you're exactly right. So we'll see. I think Denver might be a little bit better next year, just because I think another year in the system for like Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. I think they're going to utilize the weapons a little bit differently.
Oh,
it's Pat Shurmur.
Is this gonna? Oh, there we go. See, that'll always be like my bring you back down to earth.
Yeah.
Are they going to be our new Cardinals next year? The Broncos, where you like buy into their weapons, and I'm like, nah. It's not
I don't think so.
We're gonna get to that, by the way, because I want to really see where we basically ended up together. Did that bet just push everything? But anyway, we'll get to that in a sec. Chargers, Chiefs. At that point, obviously, the Chiefs are in great spot, but that game meant absolutely nothing for them.
No.
The Chargers won 4 games in a row to close the season. All I really did was just screw up their draft position.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and then Falcons, Bucks, same thing. Bucks are in the playoffs. It doesn't really stand for them, but Falcons, maybe they'll hire Raheem Morris. Maybe they'll go in a different direction. They also are looking for a GM, so there's all that.
Yeah. No, I want to say one thing with the Chargers. Although it did screw up their draft position, kind of like we were talking about with the Eagles earlier, it helped build confidence in Justin Herbert, the scheme, the seeing the game speed, all that. Just it's nice to have wins under your belt to end the season moving forward, just from a culture and team perspective. So
that's fair. I feel like it's never bad to win something. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, everyone obviously views the draft, and it's important, of course, because it is. But to me, it's almost like if you're not like literally one of the worst teams, like the Jets or the Jags, then like in reality, like just play to try to win and let the cards fall where they fall. So
yeah. All right. Let's hop back into the meaningful games though, and let's look at you want to do Jags and Colts. Not that it was really meaningful for the Jaguars, but
yeah, but it was a game the Colts needed to win, in order to get in.
Especially how some other things shook out in the 1:00 slate. So yeah,
they shook out. that's for sure.
Yeah, what a move by Jonathan Taylor, by the way, on that run.
Oh my gosh, 30 rushes for what, 256 yards?
He went off.
He did. I tell you what, and I speaking from as someone who had him in fantasy, he really hit his stride, pun intended, the last month or two of the season. So I think he's going to be a force next season and in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for that draft pick, by the way.
Well, I reached for him. I took him in the second round. So, but
it's all right. It's all right.
It worked out. So,
hey, you still won the ring. But no, I think that's another team that's a little scary. If I was in the AFC, I wouldn't want to really see the Colts. You know what I mean?
Oh, I completely agree. I think the Bills got a rough draw in the first round with the Colts, because the Colts are getting hot at the right time. I mean, so are the Bills, obviously, but.
Well, it's funny. Actually, it's a perfect way to roll right in the Bills, because I was going to say, yeah, you got to do, and they rolled over the Dolphins, but just shows why it would have been nice for them to play the Dolphins probably next week, but in the wild card round. But here they are, and they'll play the Colts, like we just talked about. But yeah, I mean,
is it just me, or does it feel like Tua needs like his hand held a little bit? I mean, he went 6-3 as a starter, but I just feel like it was just wow.
Well, I was going to say, is this game more about the Dolphins losing or the Bills winning?
I think it's about the Dolphins losing. Like this is literally your your game to get in, and you show up and you lose by 30. And I don't think it's ironic that Fitzpatrick was out.
Was the final 56-26? Yeah.
Yeah, and like Fitzpatrick was out, so it's not like you could put Fitzpatrick in as the closer, which I think is ridiculous.
I know. I think it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bullpen game. Shut up.
So what's that tell you about your starting quarterback?
Yeah, come on,
starting quarterback.
Get out of here.
Like, yeah. So I think it's a shame because, as we know, the Dolphins are one of my teams I thought would make the playoffs this year. I mean, they still finished 10-6, or 10-6, right? Which is good, obviously, for them, but still, they're a little bit away.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at my notes for them. It's funny, they were up 3-0. And then it's like that Indiana Jones Raiders Lost Ark scene with at the end with the it's like they're smiling when the chest got open. That was about it. But to answer to it, I'm looking at his stats. He was 35 for 58 with 361 yards. So I'm going to give him a pass because I feel like Shane Gailey is a horrible offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that somehow has been around forever, but he sucks everywhere he's been. So, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think I'm basically sitting there, I'm just like, hold on, wait a minute, Zach. Like that's where you're right there. It's like, okay, if they start struggling next year, absolutely. But I think your thoughts are warranted too. I mean, right? Like, but I think it's a little early to maybe just claim that
Oh no, for sure.
He needs to get his hand held.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just think,
to your point, they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and I mean, as the starter, like they went 6-3, so you can't really ask for too much more. It was just weird to me how they would keep Fitzpatrick in reserves and put him in when the game was at the tough spots and not Tua. It's just like it was interesting. That's all.
I know, and then look at the Bills sweep the AFC East. I mean, they look good. I mean, they're going to host their first playoff game since, what was it, December 28th, 1996? So, yeah.
And they're going to have, I believe, 6,700 fans in the stadium.
Oh, really? That'd be cool.
So, yeah, you'll see what Bills Mafia is about, that I've been saying. It'll be loud there even with only 6,000 fans, I promise you.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Is there any chance they get tripped up in that game?
Oh, I think 100%. I absolutely do.
Really?
Because the Colts defense, under the radar, most of the season they were probably the best defense, and then kind of in the second half they stuttered a little bit. Probably it's about like the 5th, 6th ranked defense, something like that. But the Colts offense has really ignited the last month, and Phil Rivers is playing decent ball. Overall, the team on offense is starting to look a little scary. The Bills are hot, obviously. I hope the Bills don't get tripped up, because I'd like to see them succeed. I think they deserve it, and Josh Allen's great. But I could see it happening.
That's why I love what Joe G's saying in the chat too, asking with. I guess Stephon Diggs released an article in the Players Tribune saying they're going to shock the world. I didn't see that.
That reminds me of the boat trip. Something where you just.
Well, I was going to say it reminds me of Joey Votto when they played the Braves this year in the first round of the playoffs, where it was like, yo, the Reds, yo, honestly, the Reds. By the way, have you ever heard the Reds, Zach? Yeah. And it was just like swept.
Yeah.
What?
That's the scary thing, and that's it's a similar story. Logan Ryan texted Tom Brady after the Giants game and said, "Oh, see you next week." And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you say that? Don't get too far ahead of yourself.
After you guys won?
Yeah, yesterday after the Giants game. Yeah.
Well, why? Yeah, what?
That's what I'm saying. Why do that to yourself? Because you just basically lost right there. So
dancing with the devil.
Yeah, and that's. So, yeah, as much as Stephon Diggs has had a phenomenal year, leading the league, it was in receiving yards. I don't like that. I hate that. I hate that he did that. But
and plus, Frank Wright, I mean, he played in Buffalo. He knows how to get those boys set up. Now, the question is Philip Rivers, right, with that whole game.
Yeah, because it could very well come down to like an errant gunslinging throw that gets picked off by, Josh Norman in the fourth quarter to end the game. So you're exactly right.
Now, to that point, we're talking about the Dolphins, and we can sit here and we'll talk about that in the offseason, right? We could be like, Zach, where do they go from here? We'll get to that in the offseason. Yeah. But to that point, the reason why we're talking about them in such a eulogy-type tone is because the other teams won, took care of their business, right? The Titans beat the Texans. I think they would have been over them anyway. But then, right, the Ravens beat the Bengals, Browns beat the Steelers. And so let's just kind of hop through all those real quick. Which one do you want to go with first?
Let's talk about the Titans game because that was actually a lot closer than what I think we all expected it would be.
Hell of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want? Yeah, you want to break that down? I was about to say, good lord.
I mean, Derrick Henry goes out and I'm sorry.
Well, field goal. I was about to say that field goal was a little nuts too. I mean, at first I thought he missed it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it was the old doinking in. I mean, Derrick Henry goes out and rushes for 250 yards and cracks the 2,000-yard barrier. I mean, he basically just carried them.
And Sam Sloman nails that field goal. Which, I mean, let's look at this again real quick. How does this? The way this is going, it looks like it's fading away from the goalpost. So I have no idea how this actually hit and went in.
Oh, I know. But I will say kudos to the Texans for really for showing up in a fairly meaningless game for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that speech that JJ Watt gave last week about the fans and playing hard and everything like that. I think it really set the tone for this game, and they definitely came out and played hard. I mean, Brandon Cooks. I mean, geez, 11 catches, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like the whole team was bought in. But kudos to the Titans.
Yeah. And like you said, Derrick Henry winning the rushing title. Good lord! I mean, 2,000 yards with 8-time in NFL history.
Yeah, he's literally their offense, Kieran. I mean, Tannehill was 18 for 27 for 216 yards and a touchdown. Like that's very pedestrian. That's just game management right there. And you basically just give the ball to Derrick Henry. Nothing wrong with game management. We all know.
No, it's not. I mean, it's fine.
That's how it is. But I'm just saying, like Derrick Henry literally is their offense. So.
Well, it's funny too that you say that because I'd almost double down too with the Tannehill take and say he's putting those numbers up with a defense showing him the look of we have to stop the run at all costs.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You're exactly right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's an absolute beast.
It's scary, that's for sure. I would hate to be a linebacker against him.
No, I know for sure. All right, but I'll tell you, let's flip. Speaking of linebackers, one that's got a pretty good core is the Ravens, and they have been on fire. They've been on a tear. By the way, do we want to talk real quick about the Titans? Well, we'll get to them in the playoff picture in a minute. But anyway, let's get to the Ravens because they're hot. They're red hot. They're the team that everyone was probably in the AFC saying, I hope they don't get in. But they're in. Uncle Ricky's got to be proud right now.
Yeah, no, he really should. I mean, they are hot. They've had a fairly semi-easy schedule to seal the season out. But, hey, they're still tough NFL games, and they won them. So they're doing what they have to do. They're in the playoffs. That's all that matters. Now let's just see if Lamar Jackson can get that first postseason win, and they're against the Titans. Is that right, Karen?
Yeah. It's funny that we're just talking about the Titans because it's just two teams. I mean, it's in Tennessee, but there just seems to be a different flavor about this game. I don't know.
Yeah. I have a feeling this could be like the game of the weekend, to be honest with you.
You think so?
I really do.
This is the Sunday first game, I think, the 1 o'clock game.
Sunday at 1. Yep,
that's fun.
Yeah. It's just gonna be a tough, like hard-nosed game with both of their running styles the teams have. It's going to come down to I think like one turnover, and it's going to be the game. I think it's going to come down to an interception by Jackson or Tannehill, and that's what's going to be it. Because both defenses really aren't like the Ravens aren't the Ravens that they used to be on defense. They're both defenses, I'd say, are pretty middle of the road. So
all more last year and knocking them out, so the Ravens can return the favor this year.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe they use that as motivation. Lamar Jackson, he's not putting up stellar numbers, but he's playing a lot better lately. So
yeah,
we'll see. See if he carries that in.
And then real quick, let's at the Bengals. I mean, I think there's a lot you can just say, right? Joe Burrow's got to come back. Zach Taylor's got one more year probably left on his leash, if you will. Anything else you want to add with them?
No, I think you pretty much hit it on the head. I mean, they definitely need some help on defense, and I think a little bit of offensive line help too. But otherwise, I mean, they have weapons on offense. They really do.
Yeah, T. Higgins was a nice little ad for them.
Yeah, he was. We'll see what the future holds for AJ Green. Tyler Boyd, good option there that they have. Giovanni Bernard really stepped up in the absence of Joe Mixon. So, I'm excited to see what Joe Burrow is going to produce next year. I think he's going to come back pretty hot. And for Zach Taylor's sake, I mean, I think Taylor will be fine for next year because of that, building the chemistry still with Joe Burrow. So it's going to be a do or die year for Taylor, I think.
And then moving from, one Ohio football team to the other up north, the Browns, we're talking about, the Bills' first time for this, first time for that. Browns' first time going to the playoffs since 2002. Kudos to them. I mean, it's true. It just puts in perspective how this cruel sports world can be.
Oh, I know. And you know who they played in that game in 2002?
it's man. That's a Zach trivia question. Damn it. I was gonna look it up too, and I just didn't.
It was the Steelers.
I was actually gonna say the Jets, but and I guess they lost, right?
The Browns did lose, yes. Yep.
You think they're gonna lose this game? Or sure, let's talk about the game they just won before we start asking if they're gonna win or lose this game. Gritty game. They were up by more. The game was probably I shouldn't say the game was closer than the score indicated because the Steelers had a chance to get the 2-point conversion and tie it at the end. But the Browns were in control for the most part. Kind of, it was a little. Maybe they probably were thinking a little bit, in advance. But here we go. They're going to play each other, this week coming up. But what are your thoughts on the Steelers or the Browns and whatnot?
I'm really happy for them. Definitely a fan base. Every fan base deserves, obviously, to have a team in the playoffs, but they've been through the ringer, needless to say. So I think it's huge. And I think as long as the Browns can continue to control the game with running with Chubb and Hunt, I think they're going to be tough, and I think they could be a challenge, even with Big Ben, refreshed.
Yeah. Well, does this game mean anything for the Steelers?
Not really. I think if I'm the Steelers, I'm excited if I'm the Steelers because I'm like, wow, we literally just lost off a 2-point conversion to the Browns, and we had our starting quarterback on the bench. So I think if anything, it might light a fire under the Steelers.
Yeah, I think the Steelers win, but I could see the Browns winning. I don't know why.
That's gonna be another really
good game. Wild card round could be.
That's a Sunday night game, so that'll be good. And hey, like we've said, Baker Mayfield under the lights is a whole different animal. So that'll be very interesting. And I think it's kind of crazy that the Steelers were at one point 11-0 and they finished 12-4.
I know. Talk about limping through the finish line,
wild,
losing
right?
3 of their last 4.
Yeah.
All right, but let's a team that's won the last 6. The Green Bay Packers.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Big win for them. Right. Taking out the Chicago Bears, getting the 1 seed. I don't know how much we have to harp on this game. The Bears made the playoffs. They back in at 8-8. It's funny. I was listening to part of my take this morning, and they were just saying, like, you don't apologize, right, for getting the playoffs. And I agree with that take. I think if you're the Bears, you gotta take what it is. But I think this is a good win for the Packers, right? I mean, obviously, I could sit here my laundry list full of things like, this and that. Adrian Amos is a beast, per usual. Aaron Rodgers is obviously the MVP, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of winning 3 games.
I think having the playoffs run through Lambeau as an opposing fan who has been there, and you know how it is because your hat says it all. I think that is a huge advantage, fans or no fans, just because of what Lambeau brings to the table, just like the mystique and the aura that it brings. And no one plays better there than the Packers do, especially in a nice snowy playoff game, which there could very be one, which would be pretty cool. I had dreams, Kieran, I had dreams of somehow us, the Giants, making it to the divisional round and going to Lambeau, and then we were going to go. If they were going to allow 1,000 fans, we would be 2 of those 1,000 because I would have gone.
I would have gone.
I would have driven there. I don't care.
Yeah, I would have too. Damn. I mean, get that stimulus check.
Yeah, right.
I wonder. I have thought about it. I don't know if they're going to let fans in for the playoffs, but I'm definitely going to take a look and see how much it would cost. A little road trip, a sidetrack road trip. Would you be down?
I love it there, probably just as much as you. So
that'd be wild.
It would, but no, I think this game is huge because I had a feeling the Bears were going to put up a little bit more of a fight than what they did, and the fact that the Packers just stomped them that hard really shows, proves yet again that the Packers are legitimate. Like we both know, but some people don't. Yeah,
and I think when you look at Rodgers, right, he's going to win the MVP, right? I mean, we talked about your clickbait, but that's a lock.
I think so. I mean, the odds for him are -400, so I would sure hope that it's a lock.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought they looked good. I think it's a matter of matchups, and I think when you look at it, it's like a perfect way to spin it into. We're talking about the Saints. They get the win against Carolina, and because they were on the heels of maybe getting the 1 seed themselves, they'll be the 2 seed playing the Bears that we just talked about. they didn't have any running backs, but it's kind of funny. Of course, they have Ty Montgomery just in their back pocket to just save the day.
The ultimate utility player.
I know, right? He gets 108 yards, and of course, Taysom Hill gallops around. But any other thoughts you want to add with that matchup?
No, not at all. I think the Bears could be a challenge for the Saints, but I don't know. I mean,
I love Chet saying, I love good Packers. You gotta love that. Yeah. In Seattle, they were in a game. It was almost like the only thing missing was them being in Seattle. But right, I mean, but it was Seattle and all over it, and they come back and they win 20. What was it, 26-23 was the final?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe the score of this game. They were down by two scores, right? When the fourth.
That's the only thing that was keeping me sane when the Packers were, when it was not close, or I should say when the game was close at first, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, at least Seattle might lose.
Oh, I know. It's I can't believe it. And Seattle, to me, is a team that's really just kind of like finding their way blindly to the playoffs right now. That's a team I'd be concerned about if I were a Seahawks fan.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Dude, what happened here? Cardinals, man. I get Kyler got hurt, but
yeah, well, guess what? The Rams had a backup quarterback in.
Yeah, I was gonna say they went 8-8. Like, come on, like it's the same thing. Like,
yeah. So, man, I really don't know, but for whatever it was, it just didn't. Dan Arnold was the leading receiver for the Cardinals with 46 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had 10 targets and only 4 catches. Kieran, like it just there's just so much going on, and I think that it's a shame. Yeah, it really is. But I think they were a product of a really tough division. For one, not to make an excuse. I think for two, I think even though I've been on the Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler bus, I think Kingsbury still has a lot of learning left to do with some of his decision making. So
maybe a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a shame that Kyler got hurt because I think if he's in the whole game, I don't think this is really that close. But you can't go back and fix an ankle. So
And where do we find ourselves in our dialogue with me saying the Cardinals were going to suck?
I know it's kind of like now it's a draw basically.
It really was a draw.
It's really a stalemate.
They were better than a 6-win team, or I was saying they'd be less than 6 wins, but they didn't make the playoffs either. So it's like
I feel like they're an 8-8 team that should have been 10-6, like easily. But
it could have also been 6-10.
That could have also been. You're right, exactly right.
That Hail Mary game, and
yeah, that's a good point. They could easily be 7-9 if they lose that game, which they could have. So, and then we're talking NFC East territory. So.
But hey, you know what? But to that point, the NFC East got a team in, much like everyone else. Let's pull through the playoff real quick. Look at this in all of its glory. So the Chiefs and Packers are the 1 seeds getting home field in their respective conferences. I'm not going to act like I'm like trying to be Joe Cool, like saying that, like just like, oh yeah, the Packers. I'm excited. I know I'm excited.
Yeah,
but hey, you gotta be excited.
Hey, you gotta enjoy it, man.
The beginning though, this is like if this is national treasure, we just got the Declaration of Independence. Like it's a hell of a heist, and you're hyped up, but like this is certainly not the end of the treasure map. Like you gotta,
that's for sure. Yeah,
you still gotta go. Got the bifocals, and
Yeah, you're eating the calamari and bread right now when you're out to a nice Italian dinner. You didn't get the full course yet.
Just don't poison it. No one's going to shoot me like it's an Italian restaurant. Scenes from an Italian restaurant.
There you go. Love it.
Bottle of red. All right. So yeah, here it is. All right. Let's turn it in here for a second. Let's look at the wild card games. This is a hell of a slate, man. What are you doing this weekend?
I know, just basically sitting on the couch.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun to watch this.
Every game.
Dude, we should do a weekend show.
I know, we really should. A little wild card.
Yeah.
Whimsy, if you want to call it.
I like that. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, just the AFC especially. Every game in the AFC is like you don't know who's going to win. These are going to be really tough to predict. Like the fact that the Bills are 6.5 point favorites right now is insane to me, but I get it at the same time. So
I think it was 7.5. Oh, I love. Look, we got a little national. Yeah, see, I got the national treasure shout out going. It's a little Monday analogy. Which game are you? Oh, I need it. I need it right now.
Let's see. For me, it's the Colts and the Bills. I think I'm very happy.
Right out of the gate.
I'm happy that's the first game because both these teams are similar to me as far as their defenses are. Especially the Bills have started to been playing a lot better, and both offenses I think are explosive. I think the Bills have the slight edge, but it's such a cool game too because this is the Bills' first game since, like we said, '96, right, in the playoffs, and and Philip Rivers is probably his goodbye tour, in my opinion.
Cool.
So it's just like, man, there's just so much. And I feel like, I don't know, I get some strings attached to some of my fantasy players, and the fact that I have Jonathan Taylor and Stephon Diggs, even though the season's over or in this game, it's just kind of cool. So
that's fun. Yeah, a little victory lap for him.
Yeah, well, I guess so, but fun. Yeah.
I might go Washington and Tampa.
Really? Well, I want to know why, because to me that game's like, nah.
Someone's got to win, and it's like, is Washington's pass rush going to be like hellish, which I think they can be. If it was in Tampa, I wouldn't be that excited about this game, but it's at night. It's in DC. We're actually going to take a look and see what the weather is for that game. Not that we'll see what the Weather Channel says.
And the Bucks are actually -8.5.
It's 8.5 now.
Well, on ESPN it shows 8.5. I mean, it could have changed.
Right, Saturday, sunny with a high of 39. So it'll probably be like 30 degrees or whatever.
Be a cold game.
Yeah,
sure. Brady's used to, but still, yeah. Whatever.
I don't know. I'm just intrigued to see how that one goes.
I'd love to see Chase Young sack Brady multiple times. I think that could happen. So we'll see. I'll tell you what, if Washington wins, that would be one of the biggest wild card weekends.
Oh, it'd be huge.
Yeah.
We get the Mojo going.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, speaking of that, good job, Kieran.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, Mojo Monday.
Yeah.
Right? Gotta get the Mojo Monday vibes cooking.
As always.
Do you want to go first? Or I'll just go first, just because mine sucks. You know what? I'm gonna give mine to Kirk Cousins. He got his dance moves out. Look at that. Look at Kirk dancing.
Oh man, he's got the moves like Jagger.
I think it's actually funny how we're both giving love to teams that we don't necessarily root for in life. But I'm just happy Kurt was having a little fun dancing with the boys.
That shows how much we've really grown.
Right? Yeah. Growth, Zach.
That's growth. Right. It is growth.
What about you?
Yeah, so as much as it's going to pain me to say this, but again, growth. My Mojo Monday goes to Ohio State. We're going to talk a little college football,
Such a good one.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they not only beat Clemson, but they beat them by 21 points, 49-28. Justin Fields threw for 6 touchdowns. The Ohio State defense made Trevor Lawrence look like he was Joe Schmo walking down the street picking up a hoagie. Like, just made him look average, and the fact that Dabo came out and said that he thought Ohio State was the 11th ranked team, and then Ohio State just comes out and shoves it right in his face is pretty good. So yeah, good for them. I think they could be a challenge for Bama. I really do.
They might be. Although I wonder if that was them just unloading the clip.
That's a good point, because you know how it is. You use all your mojo, we'll say, in one game, then the next game you're a little burnt out. So it's very possible.
I love the Michael Jordan meme where he's like, I took that personally. But it's spot on. No, and I think it's important because me and Joe P talked about it. We were saying we could see Ohio State winning that game before that, because it's just like, you could just feel, you can taste it. But like with that, it's like you're just whistling past the graveyard when you just keep saying, "Oh, I voted them 11th," and like that whole get up.
Oh, I know, and it was funny. I was staring at the old FanDuel app, and I was like, "Man, to take Ohio State plus 230. I mean, you probably should take that just because it's Ohio State and they're double money line." But I was like, I can't do it, and should have done it.
I know. I thought the exact same thing. The numbers scared me away.
Yeah, because I really thought that Clemson would still win regardless. But hey, that's why they're on Mojo Monday. Good job for Ohio State and Justin Fields.
Yeah. What's that point? And we're looking for a good year, right, in 2021.
That's right. Yeah.
New schedule. We're doing Monday and Thursday shows, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're moving to Mondays and Thursdays, so we'll give you a nice little weekend breakdown and analysis, and then on Monday, and another pre-weekend analysis and what we think about the weekend ahead. So it should be fun.
And we'll have a lot more content to come up on the site and everything. So real quick, you want to check us out on our audio stuff, Spotify and iTunes for all that cool stuff. But also make sure you check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit @_GetSidetracked for all that cool stuff. And then make sure, like I said, check out the website because all the cool articles and content, especially Zach's been crushing it with the cool articles. And you got some cool stuff in the works coming up here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we got some good stuff in the queue.
Some ideas churned in there in the old hopper.
From the content, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So make sure you check out our site, www.get-sidetrack.com, and check out that. And then if you want to watch the video episodes of Living Room Sports Talk, you can do that on Twitch or YouTube. But if you're on Twitch, you can follow us with the heart to the left or subscribe to the right. It's free on Amazon free on Amazon Prime, I should say. if you want all the cool stuff with that. And then, like I said, it's free to subscribe on YouTube altogether, whatever you have. So you can check out highlights, clips, the whole get up for Living Room Sports Talk on our YouTube channel as well. And then if you're, the holidays are over, so maybe you're a little hungover from shopping. You need the hair of the dog. You want to just buy like a phone case or something just to scratch that itch. Eat a little chocolate or whatever with it. Check us out. You can check out the store. All sorts of cool stuff. T-shirts, sweatshirts. Yeah, I'm doing a really good job selling it. So I'm sorry, I've seen too many Christmas commercials, so I don't know how to, at this point. But yeah, all sorts of cool stuff on there, so you can check it out. And yeah, some good stuff. So yeah, we'll be back on the air on Thursday to break down Wild Card Weekend, all that good stuff. But this was fun, Zach. You got anything you want to take us out with?
Just that we hope everyone had a nice new year. Everyone was safe, healthy, and rung it in, the right way. So, yeah, no, to your point, just really looking forward to what 2021 has in store for us and everyone else.
I love it. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
So, perfect. All right, we'll see everyone back on the other side on Thursday. We'll have